Hello and welcome to Habitat, a Mass Audubon wildlife sanctuary in Belmont, Massachusetts. This is Idris Abercrombie, and I am behind the camera. My name's Adrina. This video was originally filmed in July of this summer, and now we are updating it with some information as of September. Now we're going to take you on a trail around Habitat called the All Persons Trail. The All Persons Trail was created about 10 years ago, 8 or 10 years ago, which was great for accessibility at Habitat, which is one of the things we're always striving to work for. So the All Persons Trail is great for wheelchair users, it's great for kids in strollers, people who may not have an easy time on unstable land. Great all around. This is the community garden. There's different parts to it. Part of it is the private plots, which are rented by usually Belmont homeowners who want a place to have a garden, or people who don't have a backyard, and they're rented out for the summers, and you can plant in them. And then there's also the sun and moon gardens, which are a little bit harder to see, but are right there. And then the children's garden, which is used by summer camp for a lot of activities, is right behind that. The children's garden has been used for tons of different activities, especially with cooking projects that summer camp does with a lot of the younger kids. You also see the solar panels on the right that are providing a lot of the power for Habitat, which are also great and promote renewable energy, which we love to see, especially in Belmont. Now, Idris and I are going to enter the Pine Bank. We're going to tell you a little bit about us. So Idris and I, we are both now freshmen in college. We met when we were 10 years old at summer camp at Habitat. We were in the same group of ecologists. It was a summer before 5th grade. We met, and then we ended up being in the same 5th grade class. So we've known each other for 8 years, I would say. And then we've both been going to Habitat just for fun and for programs for a lot longer. Idris since she was like 2, and me since I was like, 7 or 8 for programs. We're walking through the Pine Bank, which is beautiful in the winter, which we'll run into soon enough. The Pine Bank is beautiful because there's evergreens on both sides of the trail. Sometimes we have owl nests up in some of the higher branches. We love to see them. On our right, we also have brush piles, which are man-made piles of cut vegetation from around the sanctuary that we want to cut to preserve biodiversity, but then we need somewhere to put all of that. And instead of just putting it in lawn bags and bringing it to the front to the street collector, we'd rather put them in brush piles and then make habitats for a lot of small mammals like mice, like chipmunks, squirrels sometimes, even mink if we're lucky. And so that provides a lot of great habitats for a lot of smaller mammals, which we also love to see. So yeah, this is the Pine Bank. It's wonderful. It's hard to see some of the pines, but it's really beautiful, especially in the winter. Now we're going to take you to Turtle Pond, which is a great part of Habitat history. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about Habitat's history before we get there. So Habitat is a Mass Audubon sanctuary now, but it was created in 1914 or 1915, and it was given as a wedding gift to Ruth Hornblower Atkins Granoff Churchill. She's got a lot of names. And it was a gift from her family for her wedding. And it's a beautiful property. It was, I think, 60 acres at the time. And she created it as an area where at some point there was a school there. At some point it was open, and their kids would come and she would teach them. So it served as an educational place for a long time, and also as a sanctuary for wildlife. And then in 1994, it was converted into a Mass Audubon sanctuary. So we've been part of Mass Audubon for 26 years now. I can do my math. Now we are passing the birches, which we just showed. The birches are just an area that have a lot of birch trees because all of Habitat basically was put together as a landscaping project. So the birches were planted on purpose, and as was Turtle Pond. Turtle Pond is actually a man-made pond. it's not naturally formed. It's a man-made pond because Ruth Churchill and her family, she had a lot of kids, as they grew up, they wanted a place that they could have habitats for turtles and frogs, and other sorts of wildlife. So this pond was built. It runs on groundwater, just natural water, and there it is. It's been around for a long time, and it's all man-made, but we do have a lot of wildlife that we run into, like this great blue heron, which I took forever to find. Idris spotted it first. So we're gonna zoom in and see if we can see it. It's a little bit hard to see, but right there in the center is a great blue heron. It's a wonderful bird. I believe a bird of prey, though it mostly eats fish and really anything it can get its beak on. So insects, small mammals. We think that this one especially is going for tadpoles, because while it is a man-made pond, Turtle Pond actually doesn't have any fish stocked in it. We do not stock Turtle Pond with anything. The only thing that would allow fish to be there is if people illegally bring their fish and stock it themselves, which we have had in the past. Idris and I have a wonderful story of one winter where someone had stocked the pond illegally with a ton of these little silver minnows, and then when the pond froze over, they all were frozen to the top of the pond. It was not pretty to look at, but it was pretty cool. So now we're looking at the bird. I think we're trying to figure out what it was eating. It seems to be hunting. Oh yeah, it just ate something. So great blue herons hunt with their really long beaks, which are super cool to watch. They've got these amazing plumage, which I think we're going to get to see a little bit. But they'll really eat anything. They love fish, of course, but they're really cool to look at. And they do fly over habitat a lot, which is also very cool. I think we're going to see some of the feathers right now. Yeah, there we go. It's got its long legs. Very funny long legs, but they're actually not necessarily sort of that backwards knee thing that you think is a knee is actually their ankles, if that makes any sense. Birds walk on their toes. Oh yeah, here we go. Now we've got a great blue heron. I think it's going for a tadpole. I don't know if we're going to get to see it, but it's got these long legs that it's actually walking on its toes like a lot of other creatures do. They walk on their toes, and they're long, they really look like fingers, but their toes will help them grip onto small branches that they can hold onto and then use to sort of stabilize themselves because they put a lot of force into their hunting, so that this guy's gonna push forward with his neck and try to grab something out of the water, but his long toes keep him onto that branch, which is really great. And really cool to watch. I don't think we get to see them do anything, but we do see a lot of great blue herons at Turtle Pond. If we're lucky, we get to watch them hunting. It's very cool to watch. We get a good amount of other birds here, but not as many as cool as the great blue heron. We do also get at Weeks Pond on the other side of habitat, we get a lot of cool ducks, and there used to be fewer a while ago, but there are a ton of ducks now. There's a dragonfly. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see, but it'll focus. Yeah, so there's a pretty cool dragonfly. Again, we're just looking at stuff, what's around. This heron, the way that herons hunt is by very, very slowly approaching their prey, and then they wade through the water very slowly, and then at the last second, they'll go for it and dive at it with their beak and their neck, going really far at once, and it's really cool to watch. So that island in the middle of the pond is also really cool. It's obviously very difficult to access, even though the water level right there is pretty low. Those are the blueberry bushes that sometimes have blueberries on them, but you shouldn't eat them because you don't know if they're safe or not. So have an adult tell you if they're safe. I think that's the rule that they use for scouts. Anyway, we're now going to be going to the dock of Turtle Pond, which is different from that little bridge we were on. The dock at Turtle Pond is a great spot again for summer camp. A ton of the groups use it for ponding. Now, we haven't gone ponding in a pretty long time, but I think we still remember enough about it. So ponding is basically we have designated nets for Turtle Pond, and we have these little basins. And so you can scoop up whatever you find in Turtle Pond, see if there's any insects. It's usually water gliders, sometimes little leeches. Oh, there's the bird again. Oh, and the turtles. These are the painted turtles at Turtle Pond, or I think they're redback. Ooh, I never remember exactly what the turtles are called, but I think they're painted turtles, right? Yep, they're painted turtles. I just had to confirm. All right, so they're on that little turtle platform, which is really cool and helps us see a lot of them. Oh, there's another dragonfly going by. So this is Turtle Pond. Camp will go ponding here, scoop up whatever they can get, and then see what they get, and they observe it's mostly insects that they can observe, but kids have been lucky and gotten like tadpoles or like funny beetles, which I do not know enough about. We're trying to figure out what this funny pattern thing is looking like over the pond, but I think we're going to see some frogs now. Yeah. So there were a ton of tadpoles this season, and they are just now becoming frogs. And so you see, if you ever see like something that looks like a little rock with some bumps on it, it's probably a little frog, and it's very cool to look at. And there are hundreds of them around the pond. Still trying to figure out what that weird little thing is over the pond, but we don't know. I think it's plants, some sort of invasive. The meadow is where we browse our goats. We have a herd of 6 Nigerian dwarf goats: Lily, Linus, Kudzu, Jacob, Jack, and Chester, and they've all lived here for at least 5 or 6 years now. The goats live on site all year round. They've been living here through the winter for the past couple of years, and they are doing great. We're going to see if we can spot a sassafras tree, because there's a really great sassafras on our way to, oh yeah, I think we're looking for it now. On our way to the meadow, we're going to see if we can spot one. There are 3 different kinds of leaves that we're going to see if we can identify. 3. There's the football, which is that shape. There's the mitten, which is that shape. And then there's the ghost, which has like 2 different arms. So we're going to see if we can show you what the leaves look like. I think this is the sassafras. That is the football. That is the ghost, I think. That's the ghost. And then we're going to find we have to search for it. There's the mitten. Yeah. So these are the names. They're definitely not the official names, not scientific names, but these are the names that kids usually call them, and we use for educational purposes. So those are the 3 kinds of sassafras leaves. Going through the meadow, there's some goldenrod blooming. It's starting to bloom. This is where we browse the goats. We have the goats come out. Oh, I think those are some grape bushes. We have the goats come out almost every day in the summer if we're lucky, unless it's raining or something. It's starting to rain, actually, right now in this video, so we're going to have to move quickly. But the goats browse in different areas with electric fencing around it so that they are safe. So there's some of the fencing right now. The goats browse in there. They eat as many invasives as they can because they love to eat. They eat a lot of poison ivy. They eat bittersweet, buckthorn, basically whatever they can get their mouths on. And they're very funny when they do that. They all have their own personalities. So, and it's actually really great to have a herd of goats at Habitat because, well, some meadows might have to use a lawnmower, like an actual lawnmower or a tractor to mow down some of the heavier parts of the meadow. We can just use our herd of goats. And it's a great natural lawnmower, and that way we actually don't damage any of the wildlife that might be there. We don't tamp down too much of the plants. We don't mow down a lot of plants, which make it really hard to keep meadow biodiversity, which is something that we are always working for at Habitat. Biodiversity is super important to sanctuaries, and they're great for supporting wildlife. If you have more plants, you've got a healthier ecosystem, so we're always looking for that. All right, now we are heading towards a different part of Habitat. This is some of the buildings that were built here. This is the gray shed right ahead of you, even though it's more blue than gray. It's where we just store a lot of things there. A lot of the supplies that we use. It's kind of old. But up ahead is the squash court, which is no longer an actual squash court, but when it was a house, it was used by the family to just play squash in it, and now we keep it with supplies, and a lot of our hay for our goats is in there, so keeps it dry. The next to it is the head house, which is part of the greenhouse, which is currently where the goats live. So we're going to try to show you. There's some milkweed. Monarchs. Got a couple of monarchs this year. Really cool to see. See if we can see the goats. I think maybe not, but that's the greenhouse. It used to be a functioning greenhouse, again, when this was property of a person, and they had a ton of plants there. Now it's just an area that we use to get to the pavilion, which is where the goats are. This is the brownie field. It's a small field next to the brownie, which we'll see in a minute. And then, I think we can sort of see, that's Linus back there. He's a little bit hard to see right now, but he's always looking out. He's a younger goat, but he's always looking for responsibility in the herd. There's the brownie. We're going to show you what the brownie building looks like. So again, when this was a estate, the brownie building was actually where they used to breed rabbits. It's originally a 2-story building, and it was sort of like the kids' playhouse. That's I think, part of the maple syrup machinery that we use. So the brownie sometimes stores a lot of that, also used by summer camp. But originally was a 2-story playhouse used by the kids, and they raised rabbits there, which obviously we don't do anymore. So now we are heading up past, we're going to go by that's the formal garden shed, and another one of the buildings. The formal gardens are also really beautiful. They're not currently open, I think, but the formal gardens are used for weddings that we run or host, and they're really beautiful. It takes a lot to keep them up. Speed limit 5 miles an hour. Cars can't come down this way except for if we have the truck that is delivering hay to the goats. That's the link building. It links the original house, which is on the left, and the library, which is on the right, which is, I think, a separate building, but it was used by the original owners. That's just where they had their books, I guess. That's the link building. It has all the bathrooms, but they're closed right now. This is the driveway. We're just going to head out, and we're almost out of our tour, but we do have a really cool surprise right up ahead that we were surprised to see, but is really, really cool. So we're passing all the parking spots. And this is sort of a big meeting place for a lot of the events. If we have Trails Day, we're all meeting around the wood chip pile, which is right over there. There it is. So this is our surprise. We saw one of the fawn here. There were, I think, 4 fawns this summer, and there's one of them. It's a little bit hard to see because she's camouflaged really well in the back, but there she is. You can tell she's a fawn because she still has some of those white spots. So even though she's grown up a lot, because they used to be really, 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 really little, there's our fawn. So we're going to try to get a little bit closer, but not so much that we scare her. There are a couple of other visitors around us, so there she is. It's really surprising to see them out this far. They're usually a lot more reserved, and they usually stay back a little bit more, but because we haven't had dogs allowed on the property this summer, because of the pandemic, it's actually been really great. We've seen a lot more wildlife than we usually do. Oh, there's the front circle. That's where the cars go sometimes. But yeah, we're going to head down the driveway a little bit more. Oh, there's our fawn. She's leaving. She's heading down Elisha's trail, which goes around the community garden, and is also beautiful, but not where we're going today. And then we're back at the driveway. So this was our short 20-minute tour of Habitat. Thank you for watching. If you watched all the way to the end, leave a like if you like this video. Share it with your friends. We love to give tours of Habitat like this. We love to bring people around and show them what we have at Habitat. It's a beautiful sanctuary. I highly encourage you to visit. Idris and I have spent the better part of our 18-year-old lives at Habitat, volunteering for most of them. So please come visit. But just take some time to walk around and see everything that's beautiful right now. Of course, now it's fall, so things are changing color, but thank you for watching, and that's all.